Oh, hey there. I hate reading. For some reason, whenever I read, my brain scrambles up the words and letters like an anagram, and I end up rereading the same page over and over for like 10 minutes. And then I just give up because I didn't understand a single word of what I just read. Fortunately, I am not the only person who feels this way. Maybe you feel that way. Maybe someone you're walking past on the street feels that way. Almost a quarter of adults don't read or haven't read books within the past year. In all honesty, that statistic was from 2021, so I'm not sure how accurate that is. But considering that was during COVID and people were reading all the time because there was nothing else to do, I can only imagine that less people are reading now, right? But that's why they created audiobooks for silly girls like me that instead of staring at book pages would prefer to stare at an open street and listen to the most insane books ever.
I held tightly to the sides of Pastor's head with my hands as he relentlessly devoured the fuck out of my gut.
I was on Spotify a few weeks ago making a new playlist, and this cover came up for an audiobook. It said free, like included with Spotify. And I was like, okay, period. What is this picture? Like, what is that? Is it a novel? Is it smut? Is it fan fiction? I don't even know how to describe this because words can't. So I'm just gonna show you. The stretched sides, the seemingly random pictures of people, the glow on the text, the title. I did some research and they are churning out books like this is what they do. They have 20 titles on Amazon, and they've only been writing since 2017. So that's like 2.8 books a year. And 3 books, whenever you round up, is kind of fucking crazy a year. In comparison, popular authors like Colleen Hoover or John Green release books annually, and that's at most. Sometimes they take year breaks between writing books. The author is named Quan Millz, and Quan Millz as an entity is extremely mysterious to me. Like, are their books satire, or are they for like serious smut readers? Like, smut readers are like, this is a title I want to click on. I mean, after listening to a little bit of their work, I'm like, are bitches getting turned on by this?
Not to be TMI, but I did what them young folks call the DPDA.
Another reason why I'm questioning the vibe of the author, if you go to the Facebook and Twitter accounts, it's all promotional posts. And the comments are stuff like, wow, I love it. That makes me unsure. Because how is this being received, right? Another big part of the mystery for me is, who is the writer? Like, yes, it's Quan Millz, but who is Quan Millz? Which is important to me because a large part of the books is about the creativity of the author, right? Like Old Thought Next Door, that is creative as hell. And you can say what you want about the books being out there in topics, because I might agree with you, but the creativity is something you cannot refute. I was sure I wasn't gonna find out because after I looked at the Twitter, Facebook, freaking Amazon profile, there was nothing about the author, but I forgot that there was one last social media that I haven't checked, which is TikTok, and that's only because I deleted it. I went onto my computer to search up Quan Millz on TikTok, and now that I found the account, it really peels back the curtain for me. All of his posts appear to be promotional. He even went in and out of retirement for like a month.
I am officially retiring, and I am still mulling coming out of retirement. I'm officially out of retirement.
And then came back with absolutely insane snippets of dialogue.
I wanna fuck you, Vernita. I wanna be your papi chulo.
But one thing I noticed that he kept saying in his videos is, yes, my books are real.
Yes, this is a real book. It's a real book.
So he's aware that they seem satirical, right? But he isn't offended. Okay, so now I'm really confused. I'm sorry, but can I also mention that all of the book covers are just compiled stock images? I wasn't sure at first. I saw this one and I reversed image searched it. It wasn't coming up, so I was like, okay, maybe this is their picture. Until I saw a picture of that woman posing differently, but I clicked on that, went to the database. While I was in the database, I was scrolling through all of it and I found the image that they used to make the book cover. And oh my goodness, I did not search that. What the hell? And to me, stock images are satire because they're extremely unserious. And there is always a new stock image circulating that is like the new meme. So at first glance, they look like a meme. And I actually think that they know that because I guess it's just a part of their marketing strategy because it's like, ooh, who would ever make a book like that? But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like it would kind of like take away any sort of like credibility you have because then people are gonna be like, oh, this book is not, I'm not gonna take this seriously. You know, what do I know? But the only way to catch a true vibe of what the author is all about is to give one of their books a read. So let. So Quan Millz' most popular book, Old Thought Next Door, has 4.4 stars on Amazon and 1,355 ratings as of today. Here are some of the top reviews. Wow, when I was introduced to Quan Millz' books and some of their unbelievable titles a couple weeks ago, I knew I had to read one and see what it was all about. I chose this title because it seemed intriguing, and it absolutely was. So many plot twists in a very nuanced story. I couldn't put it down. I'm definitely gonna check out more books by Millz. I found this to be a great summer read. The way it was written made me feel like I was right there in the story. This author has a real flair for bringing his characters to life. I wish this book could be made into a movie. A movie? Huh? I don't. Loved this book. Lots of twists. Miss Vernita is a bad bitch. LOL. Can't wait to read the next book by Mr. Millz. Old Ho. This book was funny to me. Read it in one day. Love the sex scenes. And the ending, a shocker. LOL. This book and Miss Vernita is a whole mess. A truly good read, and Quan is such a talented author. Cause who thinks of this shit? And they're right, who does? So Spotify marked this book as a fiction mystery thriller, which is strange because you would think that it would be under romance, smut, or comedy, right? Because of the cover. I'm gonna give you a quick synopsis of what the book is about, so spoilers ahead in case you weren't expecting that. So this book follows a very rich, wealthy woman named Vernita. She's 67 years old. She's a foxy lady, and after her husband passed away, she's been getting absolutely freakiness. She kind of felt like her husband kind of cheated her of all of the freedoms of being alive, I guess, because like he had a little wiener, which doesn't correlate, but that's just how she felt. So she exclusively started dating young men, no older than 30, that have a big schlong. And you know what? Go you, Vernita. Okay, so she finds out later she was cooking some food, and then she like blacks out, passes out, and ends up like burning all her food. And she gets rushed to the hospital, finds out she has cancer. And we get this funny scene.
Unfortunately, we suspect you have brain cancer. Cancer? Like cancer? Yes, cancer. Alice then strolled in right after him. So what's wrong? I have cancer. Brain cancer. Cancer? Yes, cancer. No.
The doctors tell her, you have 2 years left to live. And she's like, you know what? Let's live it up. So she's remarried to a man named Percy. He's like 28 or like 30 years old, right? He just gets back from prison. And while he is in prison, she's been cheating on him challenge. And then he is like, oh, if you cheat on me, girl, I'm gonna kill you. But no worries, because he doesn't stay for long because he impregnates another woman and then he just leaves out of the blue. And then, guess what? Spoiler alert, she finds out she doesn't have cancer. You would think that like a good doctor would be like, you know, let's do some blood tests, let's do a biopsy, let's see if you actually have cancer, instead of just doing a CAT scan and being like, looks like cancer, you're good to go. Because I feel like that's a little unprofessional, but... So after this, she goes to her best friend and tells her, like, hey, by the way, I wanted to tell you that the man you're seeing right now, I actually did it with him a few years back on a cruise. And then she's like, oh, well, get this. Fuck you. I cheated with your husband for years. Huh? And then Vernita's like, oh, okay, fuck you. So she pushes her down the stairs. Right. And then she leaves. naturally. She just leaves. She goes home and she takes a nap. At this point in the book, I started to get really uninterested because number one, I did not expect murder to be happening. Number two, I did not expect the sex scenes to be as graphic as they were.
Damn, Vanita, slow that shit down before you make me bust.
And number three, the pacing was absolutely crazy because I had gotten maybe 4 hours of listening in. I need you to understand. In those 4 hours, she got diagnosed with cancer. Her husband comes out of prison, cheats on her, leaves her for someone else, and has a baby. And then she finds out she doesn't have cancer, and then she kills her best friend. All within like 4 hours of me reading. So I was like, okay, let me go find a like synopsis summary of the rest of the book so I can kind of just wrap it up from there, right? And this is where it gets interesting. I found this video from this random YouTube channel and I started watching it. I mean, it had the cover of the book on it and the comments were like, yes, like, I love this book. Thank you for letting me know. I'm listening to it and the characters he's saying are not in the book. The synopsis he's giving is not the book that it is.
It delves into the life of a young man named Nasir, Mrs. Robinson, the old thought next door. She's a mother as well, but her children are grown and have their own lives.
So I started going down this whole separate rabbit hole of, is this an AI generated synopsis of this book? Because this did not happen in the book. Who is Miss Robinson? And Vernita didn't have any kids. I decided to look through their channel to see like, maybe they have other videos where it's like kind of the same thing, where it's like wrong book, different description, right? I go and I listen and everything is accurate. It's literally just this book. But I found out that they release a video like every few hours. I clicked on a random video and I copied the script and I wanted to see if it was AI generated and it wasn't. I put it into like a checker. I even like condensed the text down. I put in a lot of work to see if it was AI generated and it said that it wasn't, so I'm just gonna trust it even though I don't. But that is neither here nor there because this video is about Quan Millz and Miss Vernita. So at this point I was like, okay, I guess I'm not getting a summary. So I tried to read the book again, but then because I'm listening to an audiobook, right, I don't see the text, so I don't understand what's happening and I can't really backtrack without skipping parts. So with this book particularly, she is like going in and out of consciousness. She like has a dementia, she's passing out, she's confused as hell. They even were like changing how Alice died.
Marla, what happened to Alice? Where is she? I asked as I lunged to her side, sniffling and wiping her eyes free of tears. She replied,
Apparently she had another heart attack and fell down her stairs and hit her head pretty badly.
Wait, huh? I thought Vernita killed her. I'm so confused. Since Vernita is on medication, has a brain tumor, possibly has dementia, she is an unreliable narrator. So like everything she says is from her perspective, but like she's forgetting shit, she's making stuff up because she's having hallucinations. Like I genuinely don't know what is happening in this book. So I actually found another summary of the video and I got the synopsis to finish out the story. It's gonna get pretty convoluted here, so I'm gonna need you to stay with me, okay? So basically, Vernita's new/old maid Percy comes back to her place and is like, let me in or else I'm gonna tell people that you killed Clarence. And then she was like, okay, come in. And then he was like, I'm gonna do some illegal shit and I need your help. She feels like she doesn't have a choice, so she complies with all of his demands, including non-consensual sex and her making him a meal. So she decides to kill him while she's on top of him in her bed. She tells the police it was self-defense. Sounds about right, but then she claims like he beat her up and shit, but he literally didn't do that. So a police officer, private detective, investigator, I have no idea who he is. He's looking around, digging deeper, he's investigating her house, and he finds that she basically gave herself bruises with a tangerine in a pair of stockings to make it look like he beat her up. And then the officer finds out that she literally killed Alice, her bestie, Clarence, her late husband, Percy, and 3 other side characters that she was speaking to throughout the entire story. So all of the dialogue that she was having with these characters literally did not happen because they are dead. So basically, Grandma is a serial killer. So the officer finds proof of all of this and he's like, okay, let me go to the old folks home and tell Vernita that I caught her ass in 4K. And he's basically going to blackmail her into getting like $200,000 out of her because she's Richness McGee. He and Alice's daughter drug her, and while she's half conscious, the officer calls Alice's daughter on the phone and is like, hey, she's totally passed out right now. And once Vernita heard this, she picked up the pistol and killed his ass. So then Vernita goes to confront Alice's daughter because she knew that she was part of it, and then it's like, final monologue, none of you bitches are getting my money. All of you bitches tried it. Alice tried it. Alice's daughter tried it. Clarence tried it. Percy tried it. This police officer tried it. And none of you guys will ever get my money. And you all lost. She said, I'm gonna take you all out of my will, and I'm gonna put in my will that all of my money is going to be going to the church, and none of you guys can ever have it or touch it or look at it or lick it. And that's the end. But while I was listening to this audiobook in my car, I was kind of embarrassed because it was like there was like people outside. I was afraid that they were hearing it because, you know, sometimes you can like drive by people and you can hear their music really loud. I feel like it was kind of giving that, but like mine was like literal like verbal porn.
I ain't never did no nasty, freaky stuff like that before in my life. 2 men at the same time, 2 bisexual men at that. My deceased husband, Clarence, was probably rolling over in his grave right now if he saw what I did.
Also, can I mention, Vernita is like sexualizing everyone all the time. Like even her doctor that she got diagnosed with cancer from, she was like looking at his bulge. She was like, I'm trying to see how big that thing is. And then since she had just passed out and woken up, like her vision was blurry. And so she was like, I can't see. Like imagine that. Hello, ma'am. I'm glad you're awake. After your fainting spell, we just wanted to make sure that everything is okay. So if you don't mind, we're just gonna run a few more tests, just some blood work and a CAT scan, just in case it might be related to a bigger issue. But before I get into that, I just needed to ask you, is this the first time you've ever experienced anything like this? Ma'am? Huh? Is this the first time you've ever fainted recently? I'm not going to continue this doctor's session if you don't have a big dong. Oh. Okay. So, can we get another doctor in here? Hey! That was really mean. And you know what? You will get another doctor. Not because my wiener is small, but because I don't like you. This book does have some grammatical and spelling errors, and I did notice it a little bit by the narrator like repeating words sometimes or like saying the wrong words whenever she's speaking in a sentence. But it was kind of too subtle for me to notice, but that is something that people said. Something I did notice though, was Vernita racist? I don't know if I'm making shit up, but whenever there was like a new character introduced and they happened to be like Asian or Mexican, they got a completely different like accent from the narrator. I don't know if that's the narrator's choice or the author's choice or what that even means, but it felt very strange to listen to. And not only that, the author had included like some interesting comparisons. Whenever a Mexican character was being objectified and sexualized, she was like, I'm trying to see how big that burrito is. Why is it a burrito? Nobody else had a burrito. And not only that, she did say them Mexicans, and that is also weird, and I don't like that. Maybe it's like Vernita's character and not the author, because, you know, sometimes old people are just like that. All in all though, the writing of the story was actually decently good, and although it was extremely raunchy and made me extremely uncomfortable, there was like enough drama and plot twists and events to make the reading interesting. But in order to get the big picture of the author, I'm gonna look into one more novel. This hoe got roaches in her crib. This is Quan Millz' 3rd most popular book, I believe. And to be honest with you, I am not going to read this one, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But first, let's read the synopsis. Austin Watkins, 35 and a single father, currently locked up in Chicago's Cook County Jail. He knows that Fred Quisha, the trifling mother of his only daughter, is a despicable, careless, and reckless thought who is the antithesis of caring, loving Black motherhood. Wanting to see her son gain full redemption from his current situation, Dolores Watkins is also hell-bent on rescuing Austin's 6-year-old daughter, Maya, hoping her son works hard to change the course of his life for the betterment of his daughter. Miss Watkins explores the possibility of challenging Fred Quisha's custody of Maya. Fred Quisha Pierce, a native of the dangerous Englewood, Chicago, could give two shits about the welfare of her daughter. After meeting a potential new bae, Fredquisha needs to make some lifestyle changes so she can upgrade her Section 8 squalor living situation. However, a looming pregnancy threatens to unravel her plans for a big come up. This book is another episodic chronicle of the dark, gritty, so it's basically about the struggles of single fatherhood. I did also find it kind of interesting too that this book is also based in Chicago, because Old Thought Next Door was based in Chicago, and Quan Millz is also based in Chicago. So in theory, they are all in the same universe, MCU universe. This book also has 4.4 stars on Amazon, but it does have 973 reviews, which is a little bit surprising considering that the reviews are really not good. Horrible images of black people, disgusting, misrepresentation of black men and women. The synopsis is clue number 1 to the drive that this author is pushing, using every stereotype known for describing economically deprived black women. But the most frightening thing about the story was the unhinged hatred that this person seems to have for black women. The book seems to have a lot of hatred in it from like personal experiences. She said that she could feel the spite through the pages, like it was directed at somebody in particular, which kind of sucks. Whoa, another costume change. This review made me laugh particularly hard because why is there a picture of your lips on there, girl? Whose lips are those? Are those the lady who wrote the review? And if so, like, did you mean to include that? You know, after I finished the last book, Old Thought Next Door, I didn't expect this weird, like, offensive content to be like a reoccurring thing. So that's why I'm not gonna read this one, just for my own sanity. So whenever I was starting this video and preparing to read the books, I wasn't expecting the author to be like making offensive, weird content like this. I want to reinstate that I don't condone any of the behaviors of the author just because I talked to them about them. It's not cool to talk about people like that, and it's not okay to stereotype people, and that's just how it is. But I am curious if anybody watching this video has heard of this author before, or has read any of these books before, or has noticed anything else strange that I missed from any of the other books. I know that there's a bunch of other really popular ones. I'm also going to quickly say, don't leave any hate on any of the author's stuff. I shouldn't even have to say that, but like, yeah, just don't do that. Well, now I gotta go. Yeah, I'm just gonna go take a walk, I think. Okay, that's all. Bye! Those books were a lot. Glad that I'm done with that now. Wait, what's
Never
that?
did no nasty, freaky stuff like that before in my life. Two men at the same time.
No.
Two bisexual
No.
men at that.
No.
Damn, Benito.